The War Council chamber fell silent as General Cator strode through the crystalline archway. His four eyes gleamed with the confidence of someone who had never known defeat, his scaled hide bearing the scars of 300 battles across 17 star systems. The Xanthari general was indeed a living legend, the architect of the Crimson Nebula campaign, the breaker of the Volnath siege, the warrior whose name alone made entire fleets surrender. Commander Rhea Vorn watched him enter with measured indifference. She stood at the far end of the tactical display, her human frame slight compared to the towering alien warriors surrounding her. But there was something in her posture, something in the way her dark eyes tracked Cator's movement, that made even the boldest delegates shift uncomfortably. Ah, the human. Cator's voice resonated through the chamber like distant thunder. I was told you would be joining this council. How quaint. Rhea didn't respond. She simply continued studying the holographic star map hovering before her, her fingers dancing across the controls as she plotted supply routes and defensive positions. Cator moved closer, his massive form casting shadows across the glowing projection. I have fought alongside many species in my centuries of service. The Kalrathi, fierce and proud. The Vishari, cunning and patient. But humans... He paused, his translator clicking as it processed his disdainful tone. Humans are soft, emotional. Your kind wages war with one hand while weeping with the other. Several council members exchanged nervous glances. Everyone knew of humanity's recent admission to the Galactic Coalition, their struggles to prove themselves among species who had mastered interstellar warfare for millennia. General Cator speaks truth, chirped Ambassador Vix, an insectoid Thren who always sided with power. The human contingent at the Battle of Kepler's Gate retreated when victory was certain, all because of casualties. Weakness disguised as compassion. Rhea's jaw tightened, but she remained silent. Yes, Kepler's Gate. Cator rumbled, warming to his subject. I reviewed the tactical reports. Your captain Marcus Chen. He pulled 3 ships out of formation to recover escape pods. Escape pods? As if lives already lost were worth more than the strategic objective. The general's laugh was like grinding stone. Chen's sentimentality cost the coalition 2 weeks and 17,000 lives when the enemy regrouped. A warrior so foolish, so weak, deserves neither memory nor honor. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Rhea finally looked up from her display. Her movements were slow, deliberate as she turned to face the Xanthari general. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, so quiet that every being in the chamber strained to hear. Say his name again. Cator's 4 eyes narrowed. Excuse me? Captain Marcus Chen, you will say his name again. With respect. A ripple of disbelief passed through the council. No one spoke to General Cator this way. No one dared. The general's scales bristled, shifting from deep purple to angry crimson. You dare give me orders, human? I have commanded fleets when your species was still learning to harness nuclear. Those escape pods, Rhea interrupted, her voice still terrifyingly calm, contained 347 coalition personnel. Kalrathi, Vishari, Thren, and yes, even 12 Xanthari. Captain Chen pulled out of formation because your people don't leave anyone behind. Because every single life matters. Because that's what separates us from the enemy. She took a step forward and despite being half Cator's size, the general retreated. Marcus Chen was my friend. He was my mentor. He taught me that strength isn't measured in victories alone, but in what you're willing to sacrifice for those who depend on you. Her voice grew harder, edged with steel. You call him weak? He held the line at the Forge World for 16 hours with a ship that should have broken in 3. He evacuated 40,000 civilians from Terminus Station, while his own ship was burning. And yes, at Kepler's Gate he chose to save lives over glory. Rhea's hand moved to her hip, where a small data chip hung from her belt. This contains every tactical decision Marcus made in his final battle. Every calculation, every sacrifice, every moment of his so-called weakness. I've studied it 10,000 times. And do you know what I learned, General? Cator said nothing. I learned that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology or our tactics. It's that we remember. We remember every fallen soldier, every lost friend, every sacrifice made. And we carry them with us into every battle, every decision, every moment that matters. She stepped closer again. Marcus Chen died buying time for a coalition retreat that saved 6 colonies and 200,000 lives. Your Crimson Nebula campaign, legendary as it is, saved 1 planet. The silence in the chamber was absolute. So I will ask you one final time, General. Ria's eyes burned with controlled fury. Say his name with respect. For the first time in 3 centuries, General Couture, the living legend, the undefeated, felt something he had not experienced since he was a young soldier. Genuine fear. Not of death, he had faced that countless times, but fear of something more profound, more terrible. He feared the weight of human memory, the burden of their bonds, the fury of their love for the fallen. Captain Marcus Chen, Couture said slowly, his voice stripped of mockery, was a worthy warrior. Ria held his gaze for 3 long heartbeats, then nodded once. She turned back to her tactical display, dismissing the legendary general as if he were nothing more than a footnote. As the council session resumed, every being in that chamber understood a fundamental truth about humanity. They were not the strongest species, nor the oldest, nor the most advanced. But they possessed something that made them truly dangerous. They fought not just for themselves, but for the memory of every soul who had fallen. And there was no force in the galaxy more terrifying than someone fighting for ghosts they refused to forget. General Couture left the War Council that day with his legend intact, but with the knowledge that he had encountered something far more powerful than military genius. He had encountered human grief weaponized into purpose, loss transformed into unbreakable resolve, and that, he realized, was what made them unstoppable.